Hello all, this is Bayshra again, and we're on episode 5 of Turtle Mode. And I thought we'd do a bit of review real quick, going over the rules, the programs, everything that we have. So, let's do that. Just connect to our server. Yes, it is a server. Let it load up. Hey look, now you can see the IP. That's not really helpful to you. Okay, so, let's start outside, just show you around a bit. I know you already know this, but look at our amazing... Hold on 1 second. Let's just turn all these off. We have a wonderful hole in the ground with a turtle door, just in case. And yeah, it's pretty crappy. We have some basic supplies here. You can see I have 28 logs in my inventory. I got some copper. If we actually head over to the chest here, we got tons of iron. We have some bit of extra gold. The first thing we actually have is our AFK processor. So essentially what this does is it takes a ton of stuff, it pulverizes it, and it turns the results into ingots with this powered furnace. Now, the reason this is an AFK processor is because it will take absolutely forever to process something. It gets power so slowly that it isn't feasible to let it process things normally. Like, I'm not going to be able to use this conveniently. And that's because it's being powered by redstone engines, which are just slow. But that's okay, because it doesn't cost me anything. I can just leave it running overnight. Over here we have the start of our IC2 operation. We just have a single generator and a single extractor. We're going to be getting some more rubber from this. And then we have our pride and joy, the turtles. So let's bring them out. Oh, I see. That was actually something I was going to show shortly. So I'm going to start going over some of the simple programs, and we'll just go over everything we have, and then I can show you some of the the main update that I've made to this in my test world. Alright, so if you type directory or dir, we get the list of all the programs we have, and we can just go to each one and essentially edit them to view them. So here we have our basic back command. And this is the command that we use to move our turtle backwards. So actually here, let me just demonstrate. If I want to move back, let's say 2 blocks, 1, 2, just like that. So let's just go through it, and once you understand how this works, some of the other things should be more simple. So we're setting the variable arg to the user input. Now keep in mind the user input will always be a string. Even if they input a number, we'll count that as a string. So what we're doing here is then setting that string, or that variable here, to equal the number value, the number version of that string, or 1. So the result of this is if I type B2, it will set arg to 2. If I type B, let's say, actually here, let me try this. I don't think I've done it before. If I type B hello, it will think that's invalid, because it is. So if for some reason it can't do this operation, it'll set it to 1. So if I type something wrong there, it will only move backwards 1, which is good. This also means that if I just type B, it will move backwards 1. It then sets our variable here, x, equal to 0. That's all fine and good. And then we have a loop here. While x is less than our variable arg, which is the user input, it's going to do everything between or under the while and above this end. And all it does there, it runs an if-then-else statement. So if the turtle moves backwards, so if turtle back is equal to true, so it'll try to move backwards, and if it does, it will output true. Then it'll add 1 to x, so it'll realize, oh, I've moved 1 back. And that's what's going to control how far it moves back. It'll just keep moving until x is equal to arg. And if it can't move back for some reason, it will just print blocked. So here, if I stand behind it and just type B, it'll literally spam me. Okay, so that's the basis behind that program. We then have, let's start with our left, right, and turn commands. Or this is, I'll show you that. So left and right are fairly self-explanatory. It's just turtle.turn left. So I can literally do that, it'll turn left. I can do that and it'll turn right. Really simple. And then if we go into T, T is just a 180 turn, which can be really helpful when maneuvering around in general. It just turns left twice. All really simple. Okay, let's do craft real quick. Craft is one of my really simple commands. It's just turtle.craft. So this function here will look in its inventory for any valid crafting recipes, and only that crafting recipe. So if I put in a log here and tell it to craft, it'll, oh whoops, sorry, and tell it to craft, it will craft that log because that's the recipe it finds into 4 planks, right? But if let's try turning them to sticks, okay? But the problem is, or an interesting thing to note, is that if there's something else in the inventory like this, it can't craft it. Even though there's a valid crafting recipe here, it doesn't know what to do with the plank at the bottom here. So if I do craft, it shouldn't do anything. So you have to make sure its inventory is completely empty when crafting. Okay, so that's craft. Let's see, what next? What next? Okay. Fly and tog. Actually, let me rename tog dig. That'll actually clear some things up with me. I've always messed that up. Alright, so fly and dig are both essentially the same. And they're just going to toggle this variable called fly, or in the other one's case, tog or dig or whatever. And since I don't specify local at the beginning, these variables are global and they carry between all programs. And you'll notice as I code, most of my variables are global, and then I just reset them at the beginning of each program. It's really a matter of preference. I don't like setting things to local because I can easily use things like this. So if fly is equal to 0, it'll set it to 1, and if not, it'll set it to 0. And that's what we want. And it's going to be the same thing with dig. Exactly the same thing, except I have if 1, set it to 0, else set it to 1. Kind of the same thing. Let's see, let's go to feed. And I'll get into the forward, up, and down right after this. Now, feed is the program that I use when running this machine here. And essentially what it does, let's see if how much of this I can explain. It's going to set x equal to 1, and then it's going to select whatever slot x is. So at the beginning, it'll select slot 1. And then it has a loop. So here, let's just make this a little clearer. I know at least it always helps me. Is that the end? Okay. And then inside this if, there is all this crap. Alright, there we go. So, while true, so this is going to be an infinite loop, right? So, true is always true, so it's always going to be doing this. If x is not equal to 16, that's what this means. It's a grave or tilde or whatever you want to call it, and then an equal sign. And that means not equal to. If x is not equal to 16, then it's going to select whatever that slot is. In this case, it's going to start as 1. And it will drop whatever that is down. And what that means, let's say there's this in slot 1, and it does that, it'll spit that item out downwards. And when there's an inventory below it, a valid inventory like this blue slot, because that's the only thing that's the only place I can put objects, it will put it into that slot. If not, it will just spew it out. And after this, it'll add 1 to x, and just for safety measure, it will then suck up whatever's next to it. So just in case for some reason it got spewed out, because if it recognizes a full inventory below it, it won't do anything, it won't spew anything out. But for some reason, if it does, it will immediately pick up all of those items. And if x is not, or if x is equal to 16, so if it's already done this portion here, then x is going to be set to 1. And actually, if I think about that, that means if x is equal to 16... Oh, wait. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So it will then set it back to 1, so it'll cycle through all 16 slots, and then it'll set it back to 1. Now, these two lines here will make it literally run forever. There's a problem with Lua encoding, specifically infinite loops. If you do like a while true do loop, like I have here, it eventually will crash. It'll give you the error, program has run too long without yielding, or something similar to that. So that's what these two lines fix. And it's using os.pull_event. So what this does, it will wait for an event to occur. And I haven't specified anything here, so it'll just wait for an event to occur. And right before it, I queue an event to occur. So it queues an event, it looks for an event, the event happens, it continues all fine and dandy. The event doesn't do anything, it's just blah, and it'll continue. But the mechanical function of this is it will reset how long it's been going, and it will make it run forever. And this is going to be used quite often. Okay, so let's just do up, down, and forward. Actually, just up and down, because I have an alternate forward that I just finished working on. So we have the same argument to number thing at the top that we had with back. I don't have to explain that again. And we have a little extra here. So let me just do that. This is good for me too. Just going back over what I've done is going to be helpful. Else do that. Alright, there we go. So, while x is less than r, so if it hasn't moved up the correct number yet, it will try to move up, and if it does, it'll output true, and if it is true, then it'll add 1 to x, so it'll recognize that it's gone up 1 and make sure it doesn't go up too many. Now, if it didn't move up for some reason, it will check if tog is equal to 1. Now remember, tog is the synonym for dig in this case. So it'll check if our global dig variable is equal to 1. And if it is, it'll dig up. But if it isn't, it will just end the program. So this means if I turn off dig mode, it won't it won't break blocks when I tell it to hit the ceiling, kind of thing. And I believe down is essentially the same. Actually, I think it is exactly the same. I just copied the program, literally. Okay, and let's just finish up here. We have, let's see, we have fell. I don't think I ever did anything with branch, did I? I can just delete that. RN branch, so that's remove, I think. Oh, sorry. Is it RM branch? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we have, let's just do fell real quick. Fell is our shortcut to chopping down a tree. Oh wow, it's already night. Fell will chop down a tree for us. And how it does that, assuming slot 1 is empty. When it's doing this, slot 1 has to be empty for it to correctly do this. And it's going to set x to 0, and we'll see what it does with that variable. It will dig, turtle.dig means it'll just break the block in front of it, and then it'll move forward. So the result of this, actually, wait. No, it doesn't have to have slot 1 selected. It will dig forward and place the block that it's just dug into whatever slot it has selected. I think, yeah. And then it'll run a short little loop here that you can see. So while turtle.compareUp equals true, it'll do this. Turtle.compareUp means it will check the block above it, and if the block above it is equal to the block in its currently selected slot, it'll output true. So it will mine the first log, and then it'll look above it, and if that's also a log, it'll mine it. So you dig up, and then it'll go up, and then it'll add 1 to x. So after it's done, so let's say it's at the top of the trunk, it's already picked up all of the logs, hasn't touched the leaves, we're going to set the variable z to 0. While z is less than x, remember x is how far the tree or the turtle is up in the air now. So while z is less than x, it will move down, and it'll add 1 to z. So it'll go up the tree, let's say it goes up 4 blocks, okay, it starts here, goes forward. It digs up, let's say, 3 blocks. And at this point, x should be equal to 3, right? Is that right? What's x equal to 4? Yeah, x is equal to 3, so it'll go down 1, 2, 3. And at that point, so that's what that part of it does. And then at the point where it hits the ground, it'll just move back, ready to use again. And that's really convenient for mining tall trees. Okay, we then have, let's see, what does mine do? Oh, okay. So mine just digs a 2 tall shaft, it looks like. Or is this a 3 tall shaft? It breaks the block in front of it. It goes forward. It goes up. Goes forward. Or breaks the block in front of it, goes forward, digs above it, goes up, digs above it, goes down, digs down, goes down. What is this? Let's just see what this looks like. Oh, okay. Okay, duh. Sorry, that took me a second. This makes stairs. So starting, yeah, that's right. Actually, we can just run that real quick. There's no reason not to. So we can use our back command. And let's go back 1, 2, 3, and we'll just run it right here. And you can just use mine, and it digs a convenient little staircase. Ooh, there's zombies down there. And you can see how that could be useful in some situations. Oh, crap. Got too far away from me. Alright, and with any program, you can just hold Control-T for a bit, and as long as it doesn't get out of your range, it will correctly terminate the program. So in this case, let's just make sure dig is off. And let's go forward 8. And I'll get to the intelligent forward command actually right about now. Now, previously, I've been using a kind of derpy version of it. Oh, whoops. Oh, actually, I think we have one last thing. Shaft. Shaft, you specify a length, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but it digs a 2 tall tunnel straight down, or straight forward, I guess, and it has some things built in to, like, it'll sleep a second, and then if it can go forward, it'll go forward. And this is just, if it can't go forward, it'll loop this again, so it's gravel debugging, because there's a lot of problems where gravel will like be in the turtle's mining path, and when that happens, we don't want it to spaz out, which it has done in the past. And I believe temp is a derpy version of a 3 tall shaft, which I quickly I made that in like 30 seconds to dig out this area. Okay, so onto the forward command. Now, if you look at this forward command, it's kind of messy, and you can see it's disorganized and messed up in general. The premise of it, well, what we want it to do is, actually here, let me jump into my creative testing world to show you what it's supposed to do, and I actually have a good version of it there. Turtle testing. And here we have our turtle. Now this guy doesn't have all of the basic commands if we actually list things. He has very little. He has the toggle dig, he has the toggle fly, he has forward, he has up. Here, let's copy up to down. And actually, I think, yep, they're really not complicated programs. I just wanted to be able to test out the forward command. Alright, so you can guess the forward command makes the turtle go forward. Or not. You know what, maybe I should fix this real quick. I'm not sure what just happened. Okay, I'll be right back. Let me just fix this. I've had a problem with this in the past, and I'll work it out. Alright, sorry about that again. I got that fixed. So let's just jump back into this again. Actually, I guess it wasn't showing that off. So right now, let's see, we can use dig to turn on and off dig mode, so dig is off, and we can use fly to turn on and off fly mode. So by default, let's say dig is off and fly is off. So this means if I tell it to go forward, it'll go forward 1, and just like the back command, I can tell it to go forward multiple. Now, if it has a hill to climb up, like this, let's tell it to go forward 3 blocks, again. Oh, yeah, enter. It will actually climb up the stairs. And if there's a cliff, let's tell it to go forward 3, it will go down, still move 3 blocks. And it can do the same going up a cliff, I mean. And it can actually do these quite seamlessly. So let's say, let's do it like this. Let's just test its abilities. F7, let's say. It will actually follow the whole route here. Oh, didn't go quite far enough. Let's just finish that up. And this is what we want when we are casually maneuvering our turtle, because, you know, we want to be able to, or we want it to be able to go up and down stairs easily, cleanly, smoothly. Alright, now let's say we didn't want it, so let's say it was up in the air a bit. Now, with the forward command, or with how it currently is, it will go forward, and then if there's not anything below it, it'll go down until there is. And that's just how it goes down a cliff. Now, if it's in the air, it looks kind of weird. And what if we wanted it to stay flying? Well, for that, we have our toggle fly. So let's just make sure this works. We can toggle fly on, tell it to go forward, and it will just keep floating. And that's really helpful if we want to just maneuver in the air. We can turn that off, just like that. Now, if you notice, it's not digging the block in front of it when it goes forward, right? And sometimes you do want to use it for mining things. So that's what dig mode is for. If I turn on dig, and I tell it to go forward 3, instead of going up it like stairs, it'll just dig it, which is also what we want. And that's the premise of this program. It's a little more complicated than the others, but you should still get it. Now, the first 2 lines here, they were foolproofing lines. For some reason, it seems like it loses some of its variables on startup, which is probably what my problem previously was. When you start up the game, all of your global variables seem to be gone, like they're nil. So it will set fly to itself, and if that doesn't exist, it'll set it to 0. So that if it's nil, it'll set it to 0, essentially. And that's very important, otherwise we get what happened at the beginning of this test, where it just kind of sat there. We're going to do the same thing, setting our argument, and then we're going to do this while loop. And you can see that there's a couple little blocks in this while group. The first one is the tog block here, and this is whether it should dig in front of it. So if tog is equal to 1, if dig is equal to 1, then it'll dig in front of it, that's over, it doesn't do anything with x. Now, continuing on, if fly is equal to 1, or if fly is true, then it will move forward, and it'll add 1 to x. So if fly is equal to true, or is equal to 1, then it will very simply go forward. Now, where it gets a little more complicated, or actually, I guess it's not really complicated, is here. So, 1 second, it's getting a little dark. While fly is equal to 0, so if fly is turned off, and it detects that there's a block in front of it, like so, it will go up. So, if there's a block in front of it right now, and I tell it to go forward, let's see what happens. Let's say, let me make sure real quick. Okay, that's off. That's off. Good. So right here, if tog is, so let's just go through what'll happen. So, if tog is equal to 1, well, tog is not equal to 1, dig mode is off, so we can ignore this. Going down, if fly is equal to 1, fly is not equal to 1, we can ignore this. Now, while fly is equal to 0, and turtle.detect equals true. So if it detects something in front of it and flies off, it will go up. So this is the first thing that's going to happen. It'll go up 1, and then it'll check again because it's a while loop. It'll keep going until it's false. It'll go check in front of it again, and it'll recognize that there's nothing in front of it. So it'll stop this loop. Continuing on, if fly is equal to 0, so if flies off at this point, then the turtle will move forward. It'll add 1 to x. And then finishing up here, while flies off and turtle.detect down is equal to false, it will move down. So at the end of everything, if flies off, it will go down until it touches the ground. Actually, it's not necessarily at the end of everything, but you get what I mean. So we should see it go up the stairs and then go down. Let's try. F3. Perfect. And that is this is how our forward program works. There shouldn't be any more stalls, there shouldn't be any more issues, and that's good. This is what we need. Touched up the program, and I'm going to port it over to our main world real quick. So I'll be right back. Okay, so it should be loaded up real quick, or I just loaded it up real quick. It should be there now. You can check real quick if the forward command is the same. Yep, exactly the same. I just replaced the old one. So I think that just about concludes our reviewing. And next episode we can, of course, actually get started with some stuff. Now, since we have the basic components of both Buildcraft and Industrial Craft, we can get some serious machines now. Oh. Oh, wow. Sorry, it's hailing outside. Oh, that could have been bad. It could have been very bad. Nothing got hurt, right? Oh, okay. Let's just patch that up real quick, because we are allowed to place blocks. And at some point, we will get a more suitable house. That just doesn't matter too much to me right now. I've never really been much about aesthetics. I mean, I can do it, but right now, what we care about is the programming. What we care about is function. Hence, all of these not filled in creeper craters. Yes, most of those are craters. And we can actually, sorry, got on a tangent there. We can actually start making more machines. I do have some plans for infinite power. Since we're doing a lot with turtles, I'm probably going to get a couple more once we have some more diamonds. And my specific plan for power is going to be based around tree farms. Now, using a turtle, you can easily make a tree farm in combination with soul shards, which I think I'm allowed to use because they're not really magic. I mean, it's not Thaumcraft. Soul shards allow you to make spawners, which I'm going to be using to make a skeleton spawner in order to make an easy bone meal farm. And we'll be feeding that bone meal to a turtle, and essentially it's going to plant a tree, it's going to chop down the tree using fuel from one of the 7 logs, in this case. Because, it'll only probably, I think I'll be using birch trees here, which are almost always 7 blocks tall. It'll use 1/7 of the logs to refuel itself each time. And the saplings will be collected. Now, it only needs 1 more sapling each time to chop down to get a new tree. But it often drops more than 1 sapling. So what we're going to do with the excess saplings, we are going to go through some processes with them, and we're going to use it to power to create biogas in a fermenter. Fermenter requires water, it needs fertilizer, and it needs, obviously, some plant mass. Now, we're going to get our fertilizer strictly by creating, by using plant balls, I believe. Is that right? I think that's... Okay, I'm trying to remember this. Now, if I remember right, the thing that we're going to be using, you need 1 dirt and 4 wheat. So we're going to have a wheat farm next to it, which is going to be really simple to do with a turtle and bone meal. And we're going to end up using the seeds, or probably the seeds as our plant mass, and then we can make plant balls with the saplings, or actually I guess the seeds. I didn't think about that. If you macerate a plant ball, you get dirt, which we can then combine with saplings, or actually I guess I said wheat. We combine that with the wheat that we get, and that makes fertilizer. We can then put in more saplings or seeds or whatever plant mass into the other side of the fermenter. In the fermenter, we'll turn that into biogas. So we can have a couple turtle farms going on to produce infinite biogas, which we can use in biogas engines, and we can power everything with it. So that's what things are going to hopefully end up being like. Maybe if we get some more diamonds. Ooh, there's a creeper down there. If we get any diamonds, in fact, we can get another turtle and we can set up a tree farm. I think to get a soul shard, you need diamonds. So let's just look that up. Soul shard. What's one of these? Oh, can I not look it up? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. So you need corrupt essence, vile dust. That's not too complicated. We need to go to the Nether for that, though. Heck, we could go to the Nether now if we want. Let's see. How do you get a soul forge? So we need one soul crystal for one soul shard for our spawner. So a soul forge. What does that look like? It's one of these. Once again, not really all that expensive. So we just need one diamond to make our spawner, and then we just spend a while getting some souls. I'll go into more detail about that later. Okay, so at this point, I hope everyone is up to speed with what we're doing with our turtle, how everything works, most importantly, so you could do it yourself. It is worth noting that all of the programs are available for download, or for just perusing on my Pastebin page, which is going to be linked in the description. It's pastebin.com/u/orangix, I believe. That's the name of the channel, I think. I have a lot of my two main names that I've been going by for a while have been mainly Bayshra. Bayshra means animal or beast in Draconic, because I'm like that. And Orangix means Silverclaw in Draconic. So, yeah. Channel's name is Orangix. My name is Bayshra. You should get that. So, I'll see you next time on Turtle Mode. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.